Fox News Sunday anchor Chris Wallace. Chris, good morning. Thanks so much for being here. We'll get your reaction to all of that. But first, to more from Bill Barr, that brand new CBS interview reacting.
A crime cannot be established here. They did not have a basis for a counterintelligence investigation against Flynn at that stage. You know, people sometimes plead to things that turn out not to be crimes.
What does all of this, Chris, tell us about what happens next? You heard a bit from Lindsey Graham there about people, politicians being held accountable after all the years of this.
Well, what it tells you, Sandra, and good morning, is that the partisan divide in Washington is just as strong as ever. If you're Lindsey Graham, if you're a supporter of the president, you think that the entire Russia investigation was a hoax, and you think that the FBI's decision to interview Michael Flynn at the particular point they did about his conversation with the Russian ambassador, Sergei Kislyak, was a setup and an effort to try to get him to commit perjury and then to charge him with it. If you're a critic, and you heard Jerry Nadler there before, you think that this has been a legitimate investigation. You think that the fact that Michael Flynn wasn't convicted. He pled guilty twice to lying not only about Russia, but also about his dealings with Turkey while he was the national security advisor to candidate Trump. And you think that Bill Barr is, a protection service acting more as a personal attorney than for the president than the attorney general. As I say, the partisan divide continues, and this will only increase that.
Well, Fox News was reporting yesterday that Adam Schiff was in panic mode after the revelations of some of those brand new documents, and the American people were able to just see some of the depths of those conversations. You go back to Adam Schiff, though, claiming that he had evidence of collusion. He's responding to the DOJ moving to drop this case, Chris. In a brand new tweet, he says this: Flynn pled guilty to lying to the FBI about his illicit Russian contacts. His lies do not now become truths. This dismissal does not exonerate him, but it does incriminate Bill Barr in the worst politicization of the Justice Department in its history? Chris?
Well, as I said, the partisan divide is, if anything, even deeper. In terms of Adam Schiff, there was always an embarrassment because of the fact that he came out. And, we should say that these interviews that were done, they were done when the Republicans were in charge of the House Intelligence Committee. Devin Nunes was the chair back in 2017 and 18 before Democrats took control of the House. Nancy Pelosi became Speaker and Schiff took over the House Intel Committee. But during that period, he came out and he said he had hard evidence of collusion between the president and the Russians, then candidate Trump and the Russians. He was called by a lot of us on that when the Mueller report came out and said that they couldn't make a case about collusion. When you see the actual interviews that were being done with a number of people, including James Clapper, who had been the head of the Director of National Intelligence during the Obama administration, all of them saying they didn't have hard evidence of collusion, it just raises the question as to what was the basis on which Adam Schiff said that in the first place.
Meanwhile, I want to transition now to Joe Biden and the accusations against him by Tara Reade. Megyn Kelly sitting down with Tara Reade in a brand new interview asking this key question. Let's listen.
Would you go under oath?
Absolutely.
They say, well, she subjected herself to cross-examination. Would you do that?
Absolutely.
They also point out that she took a polygraph controlled by someone on her team. Is that something you want to do?
I'm not a criminal. Joe Biden should take the polygraph.
You want him to withdraw?
I wish he would. But he won't, but I wish he would. That's how I feel emotionally.
Do you want an apology?
I think it's a little late.
That obviously made a lot of headlines. Chris, what's your reaction to all that this morning?
Well, Tara Reade listening to her, she's a credible person. She sounds like a serious person, and she makes her case for the fact that she was a victim of harassment and then sexual assault. On the other hand, in the end, I think she's got a much stronger case than Christine Blasey Ford against Brett Kavanaugh, because there's many more instances of people saying that she told them contemporaneously about this happening. Christine Blasey Ford didn't tell anybody for a quarter century or more. But in the end, there's no hard evidence. It's his word against her word. And there doesn't seem to be the kind of reaction from Democrats that indicates that they're going to jump ship on Joe Biden or try to force him out as the Democratic nominee. In contradiction, I will say, to how they reacted to Blasey Ford in the Kavanaugh case, where they said accusers must be believed. Here they're saying, well, they must be listened to, but then it must be checked out, and there is no smoking gun. There is no, firm evidence that what she says happened. So, I look back at this and I say, well, she accused, Blasey Ford accused Kavanaugh. He's on the Supreme Court. A number of women accused Donald Trump. He's in the White House. And my guess is, despite Tara Reade's accusations, that unless something dramatic comes out that we haven't seen so far, that Joe Biden is going to end up as the Democratic nominee.
Interesting take on all that. Meanwhile, what this all means for 2020 is a big question, and how Joe Biden has been able to handle the restrictions due to the coronavirus, Chris. He held this virtual Tampa rally. There was a lot of kind of awkward moments. Let's listen to this together, and I'll get your thoughts on the other side.
Please welcome Vice President Joe Biden.
Introduce me? Am I on? Yes. Hey, good evening, Tampa. Thanks so much for tuning in. I wish we could have done this together and it gone a little more smoothly, but
Just to be clear there, Chris, that was not our technical glitch. Those were the technical glitches that he had to overcome. Did they introduce me yet? Am I on? We are all kind of experiencing those problems as we work from home, and Joe Biden as well. But how is this going to affect his run for the presidency? Some have made the case that, it could be a good thing, but that was kind of awkward.
Yeah, it was awkward. I mean, I'm glad you pointed out we have had some technical glitches ourselves, and we're professional broadcasters. This new world, this new technology, it works remarkably well, but it doesn't work perfectly. In terms of Biden and being a captive in his TV studio basement, one expects that at some point that's going to end. We're still almost 6 months from the election, so I don't know that that's going to be a big deal in the end. And some would say that given that Biden does have a record for messing up, for malapropisms, for gaffes, that maybe to the degree that he's flying under the radar right now, it works to his benefit, not against it. I mean, right now he's leading in almost all the polls nationally and in the key swing states. So maybe the basement's a pretty good place for him to be right now.
All right, I guess that's going to be a we'll see as the months go on. Chris Wallace, always good to see you. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you, Sandra.